Hello, I'm Mark Walensky, the husband side of LuLaRoe Susan Walensky. I'm going to be creating a series of videos that show you how to optimize your LuLaRoe business and become more efficient at running it. This first video is going to focus on using Pixelmator on iOS devices like the iPhone or iPad, and this simple $5 app which you'll find extremely powerful for creating very nice images. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here we are at my iPhone. And we're going to launch Pixelmator right here in the bottom right corner. So here's a little preview about what we're going to build in Pixelmator. As a $5 app on the iPhone store or in the App Store, it is incredibly powerful for what you can do for it. Now there are certainly apps specifically designed for creating photos for LuLaRoe. You can certainly use those and have no problem using them, because also a lot of what goes into these great photos is the photography itself, which I'll talk about on another episode. But if you're looking at creating something more custom, more unique, more you, then you're going to be using an app like Pixelmator here on the iPhone, or if you've got a Mac, you can use it on the Mac and even get more creative on it. But let's go ahead and start with a blank palette. So Pixelmator itself uses iCloud storage if you want to store your photos up there, and that allows you to access them from an iPhone, an iPad, or the Mac if you've got them all on your iCloud account. The one negative is that if you do create a photo on the Mac using custom fonts, you will not get those fonts when you bring the photo into the iOS, because iOS doesn't have the ability to install more custom fonts. But let's go ahead and get started. So to start a new image, we're going to hit the plus sign in the upper left-hand corner. And we're going to see, do a create image. And now you've got several options. Very easily, if you're going to create something for non-posting, a lot of these are great options that get you started right away. But for us, we're going to basically do a custom off the basic area. And you can see the ratio of this image starts out at 1242 by 2208, so that's 1242 across by 2208 along the left or right side. And if you hit rotate, it rotates it around. Generally speaking, at least as far as the images that we post, they are square. I build them square because that's the way that they're shown in the Facebook albums page, so that's the way they show up best. I have seen some people use non-square ones, knowing where to crop the image at so that you get certain information on the album, and then you get a little bit more view when you actually view the photo itself. If this is your first time in Pixelmator and you're playing around, you'll see the constrain proportions turned on. What happens is that if I change my width to 1024, you'll see that the height automatically changes to 1820 because it's keeping the same ratio of width to height. To create a square, you're going to want to turn constraint proportions off, change the width to 1024 and the height to 1024. Generally speaking, I do 1024 by 1024 images. They look great when they show up on the album view, and they look fantastic if somebody views that photo itself. At that point, in the upper right corner, you'll see a downward pointing blue arrow. I'm just going to call that the down arrow from this point forward. Go ahead and tap that, and you'll see we have a square. And being a square, rotating it will not have any effect on it at this point. And then you're going to tap create in the upper right-hand corner. So now we've got our base photo. A couple of navigation points here. If you put one finger on the screen, you can move the image around with your finger. Two fingers pinching out zooms in. You can see I'm zooming in at 600%. Doing the reverse, I can zoom out to the minimum size. So this will be helpful in a little bit, as you'll see. If I tap on the left side of the screen, I get the layers palette, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. That's part of the reason that makes Pixelmator so much more powerful, is the ability to do layers. And I tap on it again to just close it. So let's go ahead and add an object onto the screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build the border of the image first. So I'm going to hit the plus sign, which is the third icon from the right. And that brings up several options. We've got photos, which is looking at our photo album. We've got layers, so if you want to create a new layer, you can. Text, and we've got 3 screens of text available to us. And then we've got shapes. The one screen of shapes that I'm on is the very last one, which is just the basic shape. If you go through, there are some pre-designed gradient shapes for your use if you want. For our use in creating the border, we're not going to do a gradient one because it just won't match up that well. So for right now, I'm going to just pick the top left square. And there we have it. Now we have a white square on a white background. So the first thing I want to do is let's go ahead and give this square some color. So I'm going to hit the paintbrush, the 4th icon from the right along the top, and that's our formatting tools. If you come up to this screen, I'm going to back up once, and basically what I did was hit the tools in the upper left side. This brings us to the main tool menu where you got paint and erase, retouch, distort, adjust colors, add effects, select, crop, and then for us right now we're going to do format. So we're going to tap on format at the bottom. Just note, if I go too fast, stop the video, try out what I'm doing, back it up a little bit if you need to, see what I did again, and then just keep going. It's fantastic if you work along as we go along. Love notifications on iOS. Not so great when we're actually recording a video though. All right, so now we're looking at the style formatting. We also have a range formatting. I'll show you that a little bit later on. So a couple of options here. Opacity is making the object that you're formatting opaque, where you can actually see through it. I'll show you that later on. Blending, we're not going to get into. Fill, we are going to do. So let's go ahead and turn that on because we want to fill this with a color. And then now you can pick a color that you want. You'll note there are some preset ones. If I hit that little black arrow at the very bottom. Very good for remembering which ones you're doing. You can come to a blank here. If you hit the plus sign, it's whatever color you currently have selected in the box up here. So if I actually, let's change this to a purple. Let's say I like a nice purple color. I can add that down there and use that later on. And actually we'll use that for right now. So go ahead and hit that. Once you have your color selected, pick whatever color you like. Go ahead and hit the down arrow. And now we've got a purple box. I'm actually going to go back into the formatting, so hit the paintbrush again, and you'll note that we have stroke on, turned on, with a 2 pixel color black. That is the stroke is the border of the box. So you'll see that if I create a bigger stroke here, you'll see the black border come into the box. For our purposes, we don't need that, so I'm going to turn the stroke off for this shape. We don't need a shadow, but I'll show you what that does. I'm just going to offset it a little bit, give it a little bit of a blur, and then create a better angle. And you'll see the shadow come out from around the box. Shadows are fantastic for text, especially if, when I do this on Pixelmator, some of my text actually does have a slight shadow to it, just to make the text pop a little bit off of the color. But for the border, we don't need a shadow. And if you're doing your own tech or designs, you might want to do a reflection for some time. What that looks like is it puts a reflection of the object to make it look like the object itself is sitting on a glass table. However, for us, we do not need reflection. All right, we're going to shrink that down. Now we've got our purple box, no border. I'll zoom in there. There is no border. And I'm going to move the box down to the corner. And so the select icons, which are the purple dots, you can grab any one of those and pull the box out to fill in what you need to. Now I'm going to pull this across, and I'm going to show you a couple of guidelines. So right now there are 3 different guidelines popping up, and those are the yellow lines. The one along the very top outside of the white box tells me that the shape I'm currently working on matches the width of the object behind it, or close to it. In this case, I only have 2 objects, which is perfect for us because we want the thing fully wide. Now if I grab that again, the other 2 show that it is centered in the bottom third and centered over the the vertical one along the middle means that the object is centered. So if I grab it and I'm trying to center it where in the area, now it's centered. If I move up, now it's vertically centered or in the middle. But let's pull this back down. And now I'm going to pull this down, and I want it to be about 200. For our purposes, a little too low there. There we go. We're going to do 200. Whoops. Actually, and I'll tell you what, if you actually zoom in, it's a little bit easier because you have a little bit finer control if you're zoomed in. There we go. And we're going to zoom back out. Now, to make the left, right, and top border, I'm going to essentially duplicate this and just change the size of it a little bit. So I'm going to tap on it while it's selected. Select duplicate. And it doesn't look like it did anything, but if I grab it and drag it up, you'll see I have a second copy of it. And then I'm going to take this one, I'm going to zoom in for this, and I'm going to actually shrink it down to about 20 pixels high. Gives me a nice little border. There we go. Zoom out. We're going to duplicate that one. I'm going to drag it down a little bit, and I'm going to just grab a corner here. I'm going to pull it across. We're going to keep it a little big for a moment so I can get the right height. I'm going to pull it up and then from the middle pull it down a little bit. There we go. And then pull this one in until it's about 20 as well. Oops. So you'll see when you're trying to tap on it, you might hit the layers one. I'm just tapping the layers one to make the layers palette to disappear. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, move the image over. To move the image, 2 fingers on the screen at the same time allow you to move it. So I'm going to tap, tap, oops, tap, tap again, duplicate, and then drag it out. Let's zoom out here a little bit. Tap. You'll see I'm actually grabbing the white background. That's okay. It does get a little finicky when you're dealing with these small objects, but we're going to pull that over there and make sure it's all around. Oops, that does not look right. Let's pull that back. Yep, there we go. You'll see it went over too far, so basically it centered the 20 pixels over the edge of this square. And for our purposes, we don't actually need the white background. So I'm going to select it, tap again, and just delete. So right now we have basically what I would call a Polaroid view or a Polaroid image. So we got the large bottom field, and then we've got a blank area where we'll put our photo and we'll put some text over it. You'll see the grid in the background. It is basically telling you that the image right now is transparent. So if I actually save this out and then loaded it over another image, I would see through that area. And you're going to see how that works here. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do next is pull in our photography of our products. And I'm going to go back. Sorry, tell you what I did. I hit the plus sign. I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to photos. And I actually have some of my photography here. We'll start with this one. Whoops, can't download. Okay. And I'm going to not be happy. And we're going to cut at this area and start again. All right, we're going to start in 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. So now that we've got the basic frame, let's add some text to this. So I know we're bringing in some classics. So I'm going to go to the, I hit the plus. I'm going to go to the text tool. And again, like I said, there are basically 3 screens of font options. I tend to like the one in the upper left on the 3rd screen. So that one. Once you have your text in there, you can see it is selected with the 2 blue arrows. Just double tap on it. And you can now edit it. So we're going to call this classic. All right, and then I'm going to just tap somewhere outside of it. I'm going to tap on it to select it again, and we're going to go into the format, so the paintbrush. Many options here. You can pick your font if you want to. Again, you can see there are a lot more options in here. I'm going to back up though. I'm pretty happy with this one. I can change my size. So on this one, I want this one to be about 160. Let's do 170 on this one. And I'm going to actually want it to be white. Now you can see it's, there we go. Because it's actually going over the purple area, so we want it to show up a little bit. So I'm going to tap and bring it down. And you can see my guidelines show that the yellow vertical one brings it just to the edge of the left border on the inside. So that's good for me. And let's add another layer of another text object. And this one's going to be the size. So I'll double tap on it to say 3XL. Okay, and then we're going to go into format, tap to select, paintbrush, change it to white again. Just drag the color up to the upper left-hand corner. And actually go back into format because I want this size to be a little bit smaller. We're going to do about, 80 or 100. And to drag this one down. Now where you place this one is up to you. I tend to like it sort of right about there. You can keep it the same size if you prefer. It's completely up to you. Yeah, you know, actually, while I look at that, I prefer that just a little bit bigger, so we'll go up to like 110. And I like that centered a little bit. There we go. Just happens to be centered on the screen. Obviously, if your product style is a little bit longer, you won't be able to center that. Let's go ahead and add the price. So we'll add another text box. Double tap on it. And this one's going to be there we go, $35. Went into the paintbrush, change the color to white. I'm going to tap text to go back to the formatting, and I'm going to go to style. And this one will put a little bit of a shadow on it just so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to leave it at 5, the shadow at offset 5 pixels, the blur 15, and then the angle at, we're going to actually change that to like 45 degrees. Wait, put that down, tap out of it, and then drag, tap, and drag it. There we go. So right now we've basically got our template set up. So as you'll see, I'm going to put a couple of photos in here and quickly create my images. As you get by classics in the future, you can certainly keep this template. Just import the photos to it, as we'll do in a moment, and then you're quickly making photos that you need to post. So right now we've got our basic template. We've got our style, size, price. I just need to add my personal branding, so I'm going to hit the plus icon in the top. I'm going to add some text. I'm just going to pick a text here. I'm going to double tap on it. And we'll just do Mark Wolinski. All right. Tap out of that. Tap again to select. We're going to format it. Again, you can pick a different font if you want. It's got a lot of nice options there. Ooh, we do like that one. I'm going to go back to text. I want to decrease the font size. I don't really want this too big, just enough so they know who they're purchasing from. And we will go to style. We'll put a drop shadow on that. Not really that much, just a couple pixels. Take the blur down a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to just drag this up to the corner here. Really, how you do your personal branding is up to you. So at this point, we've got a nice template that's saved. I can import photos relatively quickly, and let's do that now. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add my first photo, product photo. I'm going to go into my photos here. I've got this one here. Now, you can see it brings in, it'll basically fit the photo to whatever you're importing it into. So I need to bring it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to grab the selector dot at the very top. I'm just going to drag it up. So I'm basically increasing the size of the photo. And right about there looks good. Except now our template's all messed up because you can see the photo covers the bottom bar, the bottom margin. It covers up our branding, but the text does show through. And this is because of the layers, or how the layers are organized. So if I tap on the left-hand side, let's bring up the layer palette again. And here you can see I'm going to shrink the photo down just so you can see what's going on here. Here you can see if I tap the very top one, oop, there we go. That's our right border. We got our left border, our top one, our text, 3 text sections at the bottom. This is our main image. That's our name and the bottom border. You can see that the image with the blue around it right now is above the other two. That's why we don't see them. So I'm going to tap and hold for a second until the image starts zooming slightly in and out, and I'm going to actually drag it down below the two of them. Oops, a little bit hard to do at the very bottom, so I'm going to grab the one below it and just bring it up. There we go. And now we've got our product image. I'm going to actually zoom this up a little bit more, just to make it a little bit bigger. I tend to prefer to have not show the full product, mostly because I want people to be able to easily see the pattern on it. If they have questions, they can easily ask us. We can take a quick shot of the full product so they can see it all. Some people do, a lot of people don't. So at this point, we've got a great product image. I'm going to basically do the share icon in the top right. That's the square with the up arrow. Tap that. Save to photos. There we go. Now, I've got a couple of more 3XLs that I need to post as well that I took photos of. So one of the things that I do is I'm going to take this layer, I'm going to tap on it, go to Format, and then Format again, and I'm going to take the opacity down to 50. You can see it gets very much lighter. That's because we're now looking through the image. We can see like a 50% through it. So you'll see what it's going to do here in just a moment. Now I'm going to add the other two photos. So I'm going to hit the plus, go into Photos, and there's the first one. And I'm going to hit the plus again, Photos, and there's this third product. Now those two products are sitting right here and here. I'm going to grab my bottom one, which is the one that's 50% opacity, and I'm going to bring it to the top here. And now you can see, I can see this one through the other one. So that allows me to start making this one bigger. There we go. One of the benefits that I have is that the mannequin that we use has a pattern on it. So if I zoom in on the photo here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. To image. So when I move the original photo, this symbol helps me line up the photos to each other. All right. Now, once I have that in place and I have about the right size, and I basically look at the shoulders to make sure that they line up about, I'm going to go back up to the original photo, go into the tools, formatting, and take that opacity all the way down because I don't want to see it. So at 0, I now have my second photo. I'm going to hit tap share again, saved photos. And we're going to tap on that photo. So you can see right there, I've got that photo selected. Go back into tools, format, take that opacity all the way down. Go back to our original one, the one on the top there. Back into tools, format, bring that opacity back up just so as a guide. Select that original layer and bring this size back up for us. A bit bigger. There we go. Pretty close. I'm going to tap the top layer, format, take that opacity down. There's my third image. Saved photos. Now if I switch over to photos, see I was playing around here, but now I've got 3 photos ready to upload to Facebook. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, Pixelmator is an extremely robust program. Once you get your template set up, which is the text, the borders, placed how you want, make sure you've got it transparent. You just bring in your product photos as you take them and quickly save them out. You're not recreating the image every time that you do it. So the way that I would work is I would save one of these photos for each style. You do the same thing. You can actually do the same thing. I'm going to look at the size here. So if I double tap, if I tap on it once, tap it again, I'm going to duplicate it. Now I've got 2 versions of it, which are these 2. Double tap it, and let's just say this is a 2XL. XL. Hard to see there, but if I tap on, now I've got hard to see which one I have selected. The top one here is a 2XL, the bottom one's a 3XL. If I actually go into formatting and I take that opacity all the way down, now if this was a 2XL, I could quickly save it out and bring in all of my other 2XLs, put the photos in there, quickly save them out. One of the other features that I'd like to show on Pixelmator, which is invaluable, is let's say if you're showing a dress like an Amelia or something where you actually want to show the full length. So let's select the dress here. I'm going to just shrink the size down because I'm going to pretend like I'm looking at the full length of this. All right. There we go. Now you'll note we're looking at the full length of it. The one thing that on this photo that I do not like is the cable connection just to the left of the photo. Let's just take a zoom in there and take a look. Oops. By the way, I just moved the photo. You can always tap undo, and it will redo what you just did. By the way, you can undo all the way to the beginning. So if you completely mess up, you can undo everything. There's not a way to go back forward, so just be careful how much you undo. But we're going to zoom in. I'm going to show you a nice little tool here. Let me get the layers palette out of the way. So I want to get rid of that cable box there. A lot of people don't care. I'm a little specific about my photos. So from here, I'm going to go into the tools. I'm going to do retouch. And so basically it doesn't look like it's doing anything, but you'll note that in the top it says repair, undo, and done. At this point, I'm just going to use one finger and paint over the cable connector here. Here we go. And when I pull it up, cable connector gone. Click done. Zoom out. Nice looking photo. I will warn you, that doesn't work in all places, and I'll just show you here. Say if I was trying to get rid of the Eiffel Tower there. you can see it cuts into the photo itself. So basically it's doing what's called cloning. It's picking up parts of the image from around where you're trying to delete, and it copies it over it. So you can play around with it, see how it works. I'm going to actually undo that. Click done. A couple of other quick tools. With your photo, let me bring out the layer, make sure I have the photo selected. With your photo selected, if you have two fingers on the screen and you just rotate, you can rotate the image. So if you happen to take it a little bit crooked and you just want to adjust it a little bit, let me pull this in a little bit. Just let's say, it looks crooked now, but if you had to adjust it, you can rotate the image itself or the layer itself. In the tools, you will see that the crop rotate actually works on the entire photo. So like border and everything. So if I grabbed it, I can adjust where the photo is. We're going to undo that. And undo again, undo again. You can see, actually I'm going to cancel that. And distort, in case you're interested, you can warp, pinch, twirl left, twirl right. So we'll do a little bit of warping there. And I'm just going to warp that around there. Not suggested for your product photos because it really gives a completely different view of what your product is. So we don't recommend that. But if you're playing around with your kids' photos, that's always a fun thing to do. So that is Pixelmator. It is a $5 app on the App Store. Fantastic value for it. Makes editing photos a lot easier, quicker. Once you get that template set up, you're now just pulling in your photos as you take them, sticking them in the template, saving it out to photos, and you've got your photos ready to upload to Facebook. In another video, I'm going to actually show you the Mac version of this, where you can get much more finer controls and play around a little bit more, and you can actually get more fonts from like locations like Google Fonts, which is free. Download them, install them onto the Mac, and be able to use them in your images. And there you have Photoshop. I hope you agree for a $5 app. It's an extremely robust and powerful program that can improve your process flow for creating photos for Facebook. Once you get those templates built, it becomes extremely quick to pull in your photos and set them and save them out. Now in a future video, I'm going to show you Pixelmator on the Mac. I'm going to show you behind the camera of how I take the photos, and I'm going to show you my inventory management system, all built on Excel or Google Sheets. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like it somewhere down there, and share this with any of your friends if you think that they can benefit from it as well. Leave any comments to tell me how I can improve my series, and if you have any questions, leave a comment as well, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. Thank you very much, and have a great day.